She is an award-winning poet. Her poetry has been featured on HBO, HBO Latino, BET, PBS, and Lifetime. She's been published in the Norton Anthology of Latino Literature and Deaf Poetry Jam's Bum Rush the Page. For more of her work, or to listen to the poems, or read them, you can go to www.universeofmariposa.com. And that's only fitting that that's what it's called, because that is her name. And she's about to come up here and do her thing. What I need you to do, start picking up the energy as we welcome the butterfly, Mariposa.
The Inspired Word. And Michael, thank you for inviting me. Thank you for providing this to us, and I want to thank my friends for coming out tonight. Give it up once more for Asma. And Moshe.
Yes.
I went to NYU, and this neighborhood, Greenwich Village, was like my second home for like a decade of my life. I got my bachelor's and my master's at New York University. I tasted my first falafel at Mamoon's down the block. And I'd like to dedicate my reading tonight to my mom, to the memory of my mom, who was, she was a receptionist at New York University. And when I was 12 years old, I wanted to share this story. When I was 12 years old, she came home and told me and my twin sister, "You better do good in school, because you're going to NYU." She had just gotten a job at the age of 52 after not being a working woman for many years. And it was because of her vision that's exactly what happened. And I'm a first-generation college graduate.
All right.
Is dedicated to her and to the memory of the late, great Professor Mark Crawford. It's the only creative writing class I ever took. And the assignment was you have 1 hour to live. And you have to put yourself in that mind frame. And I share this assignment with all the poets, all the writers in the house. Put yourself in that mind frame that you have 1 hour to live. What would you say? What would be worth saying? What would you have to say? And he'd make us stand up in front of the room, and if he detected that we were full of shit, he would say, "You're full of shit, go sit down." So, Mark Crawford taught prose composition, had us buy the New York Times, and if we read the newspaper and came across a word that we didn't understand, and if we had not looked that up in the dictionary, he would throw the dictionary at you. He was the best. All right. So, Boricua butterfly.
Go ahead, Mama.
I am the metamorphosized, the reborn, the living phoenix rising up out of the ashes with my conquered people. Not the lost Puerto Rican soul in search of identity. Not the tragic New Yorican in search of the land of the palm tree. Not fragmented, but whole. Not colonized, but free. Mira mi cara puertorriqueña, a mi pelo vivo, a mis manos morenas. Mira mi corazón que se llena de orgullo y dime que no soy boricua. Some people say that I'm not the real thing. Boricua, that is, because I wasn't born on the enchanted island, because I was born on the mainland north of Spanish Harlem, because I was born in the Bronx,
Bronx.
Some people think that I'm not bona fide because my playground was a concrete jungle. Because my Rio Grande de Loíza was the Bronx River. Because my Fajardo was City Island. My Luquillo, Orchard Beach. And summer nights were filled with city noises instead of coquis. And Puerto Rico was just some paradise that we only saw in pictures. What does it mean to live in between? What does it take to realize that being Boricua is a state of mind, a state of heart, a state of soul? Mira mi cara, puertorriqueña, a mi pelo vivo, a mis manos morenas. Mira mi corazón que se llena de orgullo y dime que no soy boricua. No nací en Puerto Rico. I wasn't born in Puerto Rico. Puerto Rico nació en mí.
All right.
La Navidad con mi abuela. Mi abuelita preciosa gave us the same gift every year, with laughter, tears, joy, and pain. The gift of love that she gave from her soul. The gift of love that she made with her arthritic hands. The hands of a garment worker who would not stop giving the love that is still living even though she is gone. Remembering Huela and the best pasteles in the Bronx. I remember the ritual that lasted weeks, that began with a trip to Simpson Street to buy las verduras. I wish I could watch her hands again, grind the autilla, plátano verde, y el guineo también. I wish I could sit in her kitchen again. Smell the aroma of sofrito. Listen to the aguinaldos de ramito. And hear her sing-song voice scold me as I'd sneak pieces of carne y aceituna into my mouth. I wish I could hand her a rollo de papel and watch mommy y titi fold and tie and stack the precious gifts de mi abuelita. I wish I could remember all the faces, remember all the names of all the people who came on Noche Buena. I wish I could be a little girl again. I wish I could say La Bendición just one more time, to feel Abuela's cheek next to mine, to relive La Navidad con mi abuela. My mother's eyes. My mother's eyes tell a story of power, of grace, of a woman's journey. Brown almond eyes, set in a brown oval face, and a gaze soft and warm. A gaze full of courage, raging in the storm. My mother's eyes speak to me of survival, and secrets yet to be told, of pain hidden away, of sleepless nights and lonely days. My mother's eyes speak magic, laughter and joy and loving life, keeping me steady, making me strong, passing on a legacy. La mujer boricua reborn, la mujer boricua growing strong, la mujer boricua living on and on. Give it up for Moshe. I love this man. So this poem from my father. It's called No Heggies. Let's see, I'm trying to be cute, but I think I need to put these on.
Still cute.
Thanks. I'm a poet, I read.
Right?
Beautiful.
Sexy mama.
No Heggies for daddy. Growing up, you were a man of few words. Hard-working man. Not much to say after a long day. I didn't know the stories that lived inside you. Lucky strikes at your side. Blowing puffs of smoke in the pale light of 13 channels. Surrounded by wood-paneled walls. And laying on my stomach in the safety of your shadow. The living room of my 1970s childhood on the orange shag rug. I never knew how much you had to say in your silence. I'll never know how much you would have said if I could only have kept quiet then. You and your quiet ways. Your laughter was a gift. Knowing that you were happy felt so good, if only for a moment when all that worry left your face. And my favorite thing was to watch TV with you, All in the Family, Animal Kingdom, Hawaii 5-0, and Little House on the Prairie. Turning the knob of the 13 channels was pure entertainment. And late at night in my bed, I'd hear the music of the honeymooners. Drifting to sleep knowing that you were there. You were always there. Much later, when we both grew a little older, when you began to need a cane at 79, when I began to hear my own bones crack and count the silver at 40, you began to tell us all the stories that we never knew. Or maybe it was then that I began to listen. Daddy, you grew up on the top floor, apartment 2D, 73 East 119th Street, 2 doors from PS 103. On Saturday afternoons, you tell me, I used to go to the movies at the Sun Theater on 119th Street and 3rd. For 3 cents, I'd get a comic book, watch 3 movies, 10 cartoons, 5 chapters, and get a ticket for the slapstick races. Those were like the Keystone Cops. They'd chase and trip each other, change the road signs and things like that. My mother would pack me a paper bag lunch and dinner. I'd be in the movies from 12 noon to 7 o'clock. And how old were you, Daddy? I was 6 or 7, and my sisters would want to take me to Lowe's on Park and Lex, but that was 25 cents, a rip-off. I'd rather go to the Sun and with my leftover money, rent a bike for 10 cents for 2 hours, and then I'd get a 2-cent Hooten bar, spit on it, and say, no Heggies. No Heggies meaning back off. No Heggies the lay of the land. This is mine. No Heggies off limits. No Heggies. 2 words that meant a law on the street. No one could take away what was yours, Daddy. No Heggies. All rights reserved. And that, Daddy, was how you lived your life and how you taught me to live mine. So, since I'm in the land of childhood memories, I want to read this poem. It's called 1980. And this is for the victims of the Atlanta child murders. 1980 wasn't special, except it was the year I turned 9 and became an activist. My eyes glued to the 6 o'clock news. Fear floats in the swirls of 13 channels. Grows, grows, grows. like the cold, dead bodies of black children, into questions my mother does not answer. 1980, the year I learned against my fragile will, the sting of hatred and wicked words that crush my spirit. Years before the word racism enters my vocabulary. 1980, the year before 1979 and 1981, when more than 40 black children were kidnapped and slaughtered in Atlanta. Far away from the Bronx, my mother assures me, yet not far enough away. It's as close as the nearest television, and for some odd reason, close enough that we are no longer allowed to stray too far from the house. 1980, a year of morbid childhood curiosity, a strange, unexplained need to know if any more bodies of black children are found strangled or stabbed or shot. If they had found the killer or killers as they speculated, the rise of KKK, sinister aspirations to wipe out future black generations. 1980, only 1 year in the span of American childhood nightmares, where I dreamed myself trapped in the black airless trunk of a car, where I'd see my own child face posted with the many small disappeared faces looking so much like mine, mostly boys but some girls, hair braided and adorned with rainbow-colored barrettes like mine. 1980, just another year of no justice and no peace. The year before the Atlanta police found that black man with the thick glasses and the big afro and said he was the killer, killing the dead count at an obscure 28. Forgetting about the missing bones, doomed to forever remain missing from their mamas and their papas in a proper burial. 1980, the year my mother made an activist of me. 1980, the year my mother gave me a big white button with bold green letters attached to a green satin ribbon that read, "Save the Children," that I proudly wore pinned to my school uniform as I marched off to school, now part of the growing movement to save the children. I felt somehow protected by this button, felt that I could save the children and somehow save myself by wearing it, that somehow I was connected to all the people who went down to Atlanta to save the children, the activists and church leaders who joined the mothers, and the people led by hound dogs and psychics, and even the New York City guardian angels with their red berets and black leather jackets. 1980, the year I ran home after school, salty tears in my eyes, ran through the mostly white working class neighborhood before the white flight that would occur by the end of that cruel decade. "What are you doing wearing that button?" Mrs. Manjoni asked me in the schoolyard. "You're not black," rolling the word black off her tongue like it was a disease. "You're Puerto Rican." Emphasis on poor to put me in my place. 1980, just the year of my first encounter with race. The year I start to pay attention. The year I become part of a movement. The year I ask my mother, "Is it true I'm not black?" The year my mother tells me Puerto Ricans have black, Indian, and Spanish blood. The year I ask my mother, "Does that mean that my blood is black too?" The year she tells me, "Your blood is red like everybody else's." The year I gather more evidence not to trust white people. 1980 wasn't special at all, except it was the year that I continued to proudly wear my button. The year that I said nothing to that Italian lady in the schoolyard, but went home, looked in the mirror, and for the very first time in my life said to myself, "I too am black. Save the children."